Welcome, climate viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. Here for another Tuesday Newsday, where we cover all the geoengineering, weather modification, cloud seeding, lightning control, all of the things weather related. News of the week. It's been a minute. Welcome aboard, everybody. See you in chat. What up, chat? How you guys doing? Let me go ahead and get that thing loaded up so it's bringing in the datas. Been a minute, and we're just gonna get over here. If you're watching this anywhere else, if you're a first-time viewer, come over to connect.climateviewer.com and you can check out all of my things: Climate Viewer News, weather modification history, Climate Viewer maps. Show your support. Check out the merch shop. Finally updated merch. Wrong button. I've had a lot of requests for these two shirts, and I finally got them done. You're gonna have to check those out, and of course, you can please subscribe on YouTube, Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble. I live broadcast to YouTube, so if you want to be part of the chat that you're seeing on the screen, that's where it happens. Then it gets mirrored over to Odyssey, BitChute, and Rumble, and my other social medias, as well as 3 months off ExpressVPN if you want to get that. But that being said, new merch, bruh. This is so awesome. It's been coming. A lot of people have been asking for this. If you go over to the ClimateViewer merch shop, you'll see that I have 4 new designs up. I took the posters. I had several people request that I take these posters and make them into shirts as well. So now we have the beautiful Man-Made versus Nature weather modification history.com t-shirt, all sizes and colors. The Climate Viewer tracking the climate viewers, climate changers on ClimateViewer.com shirt, where you can see all the things I cover, like nuclear reactors with making clouds and the chemtrails and the pollution and the radars with the radar beams and the 5G cell tower and how it affects crops and rain and all of that, all in one beautiful shot created by Dominic Barama, my brother from another mother in Canada. Another design by Dom, gotta love it. The Climate Changers for weather modification history.com with Vincent Schaefer and Irving Langmeyer, originally looking into a cloud chamber when they created cloud seeding, but looking over the whole world now as weather warfare rains down on us. Don't blame climate change until you know about the climate changers. And of course, I say at the end of every video, attack ideas, not people. And as you can see clearly, this is to draw attention to the attack people. But the wiser eye, the people who are actually paying attention, will notice that it actually says attack ideas, not people. So please check out the merch shop. These have been long requested. Finally got them up there. Pretty excited about it. Let's get into it. So, as you saw from the cover photo, climate engineering 40 million in the US West without water in 2023. Now, I normally don't cover Dane Wigington stuff as a part of my Tuesday Newsday. Y'all know. But this one is like everywhere, and I kind of want to address it because, I mean, on the one hand, I kind of agree. On the second hand, I disagree with the statements. So, this is one of those, let's clarify where we agree and where we disagree. Freedom's Phoenix, love this guy. Been on there many times. That's where I originally found the thing, but then I went to the original source, ArmstrongEconomics.com. And interestingly enough, they have deleted the original article. Because apparently, well, I'm not going to speculate why they deleted it. So I had to go and find the original, and here it is. This is on Armstrong Economics. All links are in the details right now, and you can see this. Written by Martin Armstrong on July 22nd, 2022. And they got a video from Rumble of Dane Wigington. And, they talk about their models on indicating decline in both food and water supply. The mainstream media, Dane Wigington believes the cycle has been propelled forward by man-made forces. The mainstream media and official sources are doing their best to sweep it under the rug. We're talking about 40 million people that will be impacted by drying out of the Colorado River Basin and tributaries. Interviewer Greg Hunter plainly asked Wigington if it was deliberate attempt to diminish the population. Dane, is this depopulation? Response: yes, he replied without hesitation. There is no speculation, no hypothesis, or conjecture in any of this. There's no speculation, no hypothesis, or conjecture in any of this. Climate engineering is the primary cause for the protracted drought, and not just in the US, but in many parts of the world. It also causes a deluge scenario, and all of it is crushing crops. We could speculate to the motives and agendas behind those who run the operations, but the fact that climate engineering is the primary causal factor for Western drought is inarguable. Let's argue about that. So there's no speculation, no hypothesis or conjecture in any of this that, yes, it is a deliberate attempt to diminish the population, that climate engineering is the cause of drought in the West, and that, in Dane's opinion, this is a deliberate attempt to depopulate the West of the United States, and there's no speculation, hypothesis, or conjecture in any of this. You can't argue with it. Okay. Let's go. All right, so my primary problem with this is semantics. Okay? Dane uses the term climate engineering. Now, climate engineering has its roots. It's very specific, okay? Climate engineering, as stated here, is geoengineering. It goes geoengineering, climate engineering, then climate intervention, and then in the latest reiteration, they want to call it climate restoration. All of these are attempts to change the climate to ameliorate global warming. According to the scientists and the technocracy and the people who are in charge of all these things, that's their stated goals. Now, the technologies involved in climate engineering, geoengineering, climate intervention are completely different than those in weather modification. So, this is where I take offense to this, because it is a deliberate, intentional misdirection. His website is called geoengineeringwatch.org. Yet he keeps not even using the word geoengineering. He's now moved on to climate engineering. And he's saying now that basically drought on the West Coast is intentionally man-made and has a purpose of depopulation. This, my friends, is why I cannot understate the fact that this is fear porn. It is fear porn. Now, the reason I state that it is fear porn, because there is speculation, there is an alternative hypothesis, and I have much conjecture that secret and implied in all of this is there's secret government geoengineering, climate engineering programs, whether they are corporate run, government run, whatever. There are secret climate engineering. Climate engineering is the primary cause for the protracted drought. End of sentence. Period. Point blank. No, You cannot argue with me. I'm the authority on this. Bullshit. Dane Wigington will never talk about cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is weather modification. If you go to weathermodificationhistory.com, you will see that I've clearly divided the entire history of weather control and climate control into three categories: weather modification, geoengineering, and space weather modification. I mean, technically you could throw space geoengineering in there, but that's still geoengineering. Whether it's done in space or on the ground or in the stratosphere, geoengineering is climate engineering, is climate intervention. It's all the same thing. It's about changing the temperature of the planet. That will affect rainfall patterns on a worldwide basis. That is a big deal. But in completely ignoring cloud seeding and stating that this is intentionally depopulation, it is clickbait. It is fear porn. It is not based in fact. This is why he is readily mocked. This is why he is readily censored on Facebook and other places. His documentary, The Dimming, I constantly have requests, and I mean constantly, to do a review or a watch party of his 2-hour-long documentary and point out where we agree and where we disagree. We agree on a lot of things. We disagree on even more. But regardless, I find this highly troubling, especially when, you come over here and you see that this is literally on, here's the original link, which has been deleted: Republic Broadcasting, USA Watchdog, USA News, Kenzo Homestead. Oh man, I love that blog. I mean, people regurgitate anything. Exposing their lies, coercioncode.com. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Freedom's Phoenix, I like, Ernest Hancock, but, hey, put the information out there, let people draw their own conclusions. That's the way I am about it. Whatever. Anyway, so it's all over the place. Operation Disclosure Official, Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog, talking to Dane Wigington. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this: that when you say that there is undeniable fact that this is intentional depopulation and nothing else could possibly be to blame other than secret corporate or government climate engineering programs, without ever mentioning ongoing weather modification programs or ever use the words cloud seeding, then you're totally misleading the public. And I don't like that shit. Moving along, let's get to some actual news on this. So why do I say this? Because back in 2023, or 2003, so 20 years before this prediction that he has, imagine this. From the U.S. Department of Interior, Water 2025, Preventing Crises and Conflict in the West. Now, of course, this website has been deleted from the internet, but we do not forget around here. And I kept this as, I have close to 32,000 bookmarks in my little journal here. So everything's easily accessible. I don't lose anything. Potential water supply crises by 2025. And as you can see, conflict potential highly likely in the red areas. Now, of course, a lot of these are along the Colorado River Basin. So back in 2003, they were already predicting that the increase in water usage coinciding with the increase in population and, in my personal opinion, the increase in fracking and drilling, which uses billions of gallons of water in an already water-strapped area, and the failing weather modification projects that go on all across the West Coast, There are so many factors in this that you cannot nail it down to a single factor. This is everything is much more complex. Everything is much more nuanced. If you don't take into effect all the potential evidence out there, and the history stated right there, U.S. Department of Interior, look, areas where existing supplies are not adequate to meet water demands for people, for farms, and for environment. In 2003. This is not new news. It has gotten exponentially worse as we approach 2023, 25, and it will get worse. I lived in Arizona for 7 years. I was mind boggled when I realized that I could not drill water on land that I owned in Arizona, whereas literally I could take a stick and poke it 2 feet into the ground here in South Carolina and get water. Literally, the water table 2 feet down. I was putting a mailbox in at my great grandmother's house, who had Alzheimer's. We were taking care of her, and her mailbox was falling over. So I went outside, I got a post hole digger, and I dug down 3 feet, and I had exactly 1 foot of dirt and 2 foot of water in that hole. So yes, the West has a water problem. It always has. I've read reports all the way back to 1915 about mega droughts. Everybody remembers the Dust Bowl, right? In the 30s. That was way worse than anything today. It was so dry, the droughts were so bad that there were monumental sandstorms happening. Why? Why did it occur? Was it because in the 1930s they had perfected weather warfare technology and climate engineering technology to cause droughts and wildfires and big sandstorms? Hell no. It was because they cut down too many trees, they over-farmed the land, and that led to massive drying of the ground. All of this is historical fact. And how did we fix the Dust Bowl? With the prairie states, I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Screw it. Why not? Because I think this is important. This is important history, so we're going to talk about it. So if you just go to ClimateViewer.com and you click on pollution, you can see it for yourself right here. Climate Change 1.0. We had the Dust Bowl. For those who don't know about the Dust Bowl, have never seen the Dust Bowl, I even have a link for you. Go look at it yourself. That was climate change in the 1930s, okay? And it was bad. Very, very, very bad. If you actually look at some of these images, these make the climate change they're talking about today look just pathetic. I mean, it got a little hot. Ooh. Have you seen that? I mean, literally barren landscape covered in dirt is a effing desert. That was the Dust Bowl, okay? So the question remains, how did we fix it before? Did we fix it with weather control? Did we fix climate change 1.0 in the 1930s with geoengineering? No. The answer is the Great Plains Shelter Belt. We planted 220 million trees in these areas right here. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Texas. We created a windbreak all the way across America to slow down the wind that was causing erosions on all of these massive crops to stop climate change. Real climate change, because those climate is weather over a long term. It is temperature in a given area over a long term. Places that are bread baskets of America became deserts. That's climate change. Was it done to depopulate people in the 1930s by secret climate engineering programs? No, it was done by stupid people who didn't understand the ramifications of cutting down all the trees to grow crops. And eventually the government planted 220 million trees and paid farmers not to farm so that grass and ground vegetation could grow back, so the erosion stopped occurring. Now, do you believe that Dane Wigington is correct in saying there is no conjecture, no alternative hypothesis? It's just so simple. It is secret, it is geoengineering, and it is intentional depopulation. When all of this shit happened in the 1930s, it was way worse. And the solution to it was planting trees. Guess what's going on today? They're cutting the Great Plains shelter belt down in record numbers. The trees are going away and the crops are getting bigger. Oh, let's add to that now to fix the chemtrail problem, the contrail problem, the plane fart problem, they want to grow gasoline. They want to grow biofuels. So they're not only doing it in jet aircraft, now they're doing it to fix the ship tracks. It's called VLSFO, or very low sulfur heavy fuel oil. It is in the international tankers. It is causing tankers to crash. I expect a video on that in the future. I will cover that. But I say all of this that they're literally growing gasoline. They're cutting down the trees. They did not learn from the past. They did not learn from the Dust Bowl. They did not learn from what we accomplished with the Great Plains Shelter Belt. And the federal response to the Dust Bowl, including the Prairie States Forestry Program, which planted the Great Plains Shelter Belt and creation of the Soil Erosion Service, represents the largest, most focused effort of the U.S. government to address an environmental problem in history. So if it's climate change, plant trees. Deal with all of the issues. Fear porn, bad. Fear porn, real bad. Fear porn spreader, bad. That's my point. So say no to fear porn. I do have much speculation, other alternative hypotheses, and much conjecture for Dane Wigington's claims that this is all intentional depopulation of the West. I think that it's pathetic that so many others would regurgitate this nonsense, bullshit, fear porn, and it sickens my stomach. More news. Diverting the Mississippi. Western drought solution has issues. So we're still on this tip about the West Coast and its woes and all of that. While we're here, we might as well bring up this. You can go to the map at ClimateViewer 3D, and you can see all of the cloud seeding that I'm talking about by going to History and Science. This is on ClimateViewer 3D, and going to Geoengineering and Weather Modification. These are actual weather modification projects, but I'm just going to bring up the cloud seeding generators. Bam, bam. Right here, we'll screw China. We'll move past that. Grand Mesa, yes. Here, and Santa Barbara, California, and Wyoming. And what you end up with is these are all ground-based cloud seeding generators. They are operational from October through March of every single year. If I come up here and I go to, let's see, bring up the satellite view so you guys can actually see what this looks like. And we'll even turn the clouds on, or the map, mountains and shit. So you can actually see what's going on. And what you'll actually see is these are in the mountains, and they are ground-based cloud seeding generators all along mountain ranges. These are all in Colorado that I'm looking at right now. And their purpose is to put artificial snow on top of all of these mountains so that each spring, enough of this artificial snow, what's called snowpack augmentation, melts to supply the entire West with, all the water it needs. The problem is it's not working. It's not working as well as they expect. It's causing monumental biblical flooding on the East Coast while trying to put ice and snow on top of clouds on the mountains on the West Coast. By the way, Utah and Arizona are also covered too. I just got maps of where their seeding generators are, so those will be coming soon. But at the end of the day, these are the kinds of things that you're not going to hear talked about. This is the true history. These are the facts. These are what's going on today. You can see the actual references for all of these right here on the sidebar, directly from, the governments and the people who are doing them, what the cloud seeding generators look like. This is the kind of stuff that is never talked about. Cloud seeding, weather modification technologies, how they affect it, and why they're even there in the first place. Oh, well, let's look into that real quick before we move along. Energy and pollution. And let's just try to pull up the fracking wells without blowing up the map while I'm on a live stream, because this is kind of large. Bam. So then what do we see? These are the drilling wells. You think that's a coincidence? Does anybody think that is a coincidence? That all of this, do you think all of this cloud seeding generation right here is going to help all of these different fracking wells that are everywhere? I mean, they're as far as the eye can see. Look right here. I'm not even showing all of them with my map dots. I got one here. I got one here. But there's one here, here, here. I mean, it would literally blow up your freaking browser if I covered them all. But I think you can see by just looking at this screen how many dots I actually have, and showing, Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, vertical depth, total water volume, 391,772. That's a lot of freaking water for fracking. Okay. So all of these fracking wells use billions and billions of gallons of water. Of course, down here in California, same case, using up all the water for fracking. Does anybody talk about that? No. So like I say, I think this more than reiterates my point that this is much more complicated than most people want to let on. And I don't think that, very many people are ever going to understand how many factors play into this. But definitely at the top of my list is weather modification and cloud seeding technology and overuse of water. So is it intentional that people are gobbling up the water for, fracking, for crops to grow alternative fuels? There's a lot going on there, but at the bottom of my list of things that I would be concerned about would have to be geoengineering. Nonetheless, you can look at the U.S. drought monitor and you can see that, oh, what is that? The darkest areas of red all happen to coincide with massive fracking fields or nearby. Guess what isn't happening? Look over here. Where's all the drilling on the East Coast? It's not happening. So is it a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence? The point of ClimateViewer 3D is to take multiple data sources, overlay them, and be able to see what correlations can be derived from that. And I think there is a very clear correlation between drilling, massive amounts of drilling, overuse of water, cloud seeding operations, which can actually, if overdone, shut off rainfall, and drought. It's just, I mean, it's right there in front of your face. You cannot argue with these pictures. So that's the way it is. That's the way I see it. And then, so their problem, it's, problem solution. Here you go. Western United States is going through a mega drought. Why don't we divert the Mississippi? And then they go on to talk about the U.S. government has been studying how to augment the supply of the Colorado River Basin. The 2008 report outlines many options like ocean water desalination, cloud seeding, evaporation control, and stormwater storage as long-term solutions. No mention of trees. Because trees actually seed clouds. They make their own rain. That's a whole nother video. But regardless, I wanted to show you the report, the study of long-term augmentation options for water supply in the Colorado River system. And if you come down here to page 21, you know what's coming. Page 21 right here. Weather modification. Weather modification programs in the western U.S. See all the spots? Looks just like these spots right here. Because that is where the spots are. Here, let me turn the freaking fracking off. Go away. That's where they're doing. And if you go to the geoengineering section, you can actually turn on all the rest of the cloud seeding operations, and you'll see that, yeah, that's what's actually going on. Bam, 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 bam. And 50 years of the United Nations tracking weather modification projects. And bam, what do we see? Here are all of the weather modification projects going on the West Coast, none on the East Coast. We just bear the brunt of all of the downwind effects of all of this. So many paid operational weather modification programs, projects going on, all of which involve cloud seeding, none of which mentioned in climate engineering. 40 million in the West without water in 2023. It's all geoengineering, and it's intentional depopulation. No facts, all fear porn, all day, air day, none of this. So I wanted to kind of really dig into that. So with that being said, wait, Jim, I thought you've talked about weather warfare many times and you thought that weather warfare was a thing. Of course I recognize that weather warfare is a thing. In fact, let's dig into a new story. This is 5 days ago on the Weather Channel, weather.com. Science Sherlock, are foreign forces meddling with Indian monsoons, making cloudbursts, harsh rains, and artificial floods. And of course, they go through a whole bunch of things from 5G causing the coup and bomb testing behind a tsunami. Oh, there's many conspiracy theories out there. But anyway, I won't waste your time with all of this. But I think this is pretty much the crux of the article right here. Many experts worry that experiments might give China the edge in future conflicts, especially in regions of extreme weather such as the state border with the Himalayas. The emergence of ambitious geoengineering technologies could exacerbate tensions and even hostility between nations such as India and China. Without regulation, one country's efforts might affect other countries. States Dahansari Jayaram. Bruh, I'm Southern. I shouldn't even try to pronounce people's foreign names. A climate expert from the Manipal Academy of Higher Education said in an opinion piece, while China has not yet shown signs of unilaterally deploying geoengineering projects on the ground, the scale of its weather modification and other massive engineering projects suggests China is willing to deploy large-scale geoengineering schemes to tackle the impacts of climate change. The jurisdiction among states diminishes very rapidly when we consider something intangible, such as the air above physical land. With China aggressively trying to tame the weather above their country, some worry about the repercussions it might have on neighbors. So that's really the problem. But as this man says here, and I think this is perfect. However, some scientists believe that the manner in which localized weather events have been behaving is too suspicious to be a coincidence. Vanille Burke, an expert in agriculture and rural management, alleges that the unfavorable weather phenomena such as hailstones, flash floods, and cloudbursts have lined up splendidly with critical phases of crop growth, leading to large economic losses. Citing our dependence on agriculture as an agrarian country, he posits that this could be the conscious work of an unknown adversary. Quote, everyone is happily justifying the phenomena using climate change. This is quite disheartening. Or depopulation. That was me. So much so that the possible weaponization of weather. Where have I heard that before? Wow. He calls it wow. I like it. Wow. Wow phenomena seems like somewhat like a UFO theory to be ridiculed and neglected by the mainstream scientific community. However, weaponization of weather and its impact have been clearly visible in the past and have affected a large number of people and hence needs to be taken seriously, says Vanille. And that's why I propose the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. You can find that at climateviewer.com /NMOD, ENMOD. And that's what we're calling for. Accountability, transparency, and verification of weather modification and weather warfare. Weather warfare was banned in 1978. There's no way to catch somebody doing it today. We know beyond a shadow of doubt that it is going on today. That is going on with weather modification technologies like cloud seeding. Anybody who, focuses on blaming secret geoengineering projects, climate engineering projects as depopulation efforts without any evidence whatsoever or any kind of real solution is just pushing fear porn. Our job here as climate viewers is to know the facts, know the history, and have a real solution to this in the future. So know all of the facts, all of the causal relationships of real climate change. Who are the climate changers? Why are they doing it? How do they do it? How do they do it? By manipulating weather. How do they manipulate weather? With cloud seeding. How do they do it on a global scale? With climate engineering or geoengineering. Is there any evidence that intentional, secret, government-sponsored or corporate-sponsored geoengineering projects are going on? We have zero. It's unfortunate. I've been doing this for 15 years now. If there was, I would have found it by now. But guess what? We don't find out about secret government programs for far too long. So we have to act on what we know. But you can come over to weathermodificationhistory.com and click on the timeline. It's up here at the top. And you can click on the tags right here. And when you click on tags, hit weather warfare. And you can see that there is a long history of weather warfare activity and current military, CIA, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy talking about doing weather warfare activities. Iran accusing Israel of cloud theft 2018. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All of the facts, including the Freedom of Information Act request that they don't want you to see about using carbon black dust to create and destroy clouds to control the weather, is extremely low frequency, able to manipulate the weather, and the Chernobyl meltdown with the Russian woodpecker, all the way back to the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, the NMOD ban in 1978, and cloud seeding being invented in 1946, and less than a freaking year later, steering a hurricane into the Georgia. Let me address that. Ginger, you just said there was no proof. History is not proof. History is facts. Facts stack up. Does history often repeat itself? Shit. That is literally the slogan on here. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Now, walking into a court of law and saying, hey, somebody be geoengineering over my state and that somebody needs to pay. Okay, prove it. Who did it? Prove it. Now, I want to be able to go and say, I know that these individuals, let's just say here in Colorado, that Colorado, these cloud seeding generators were operating today, and then see the storms pass over, which you can do. I can come up here and I can bring up the actual live satellite and all the rain and all of that stuff. Just like literally pull it up and see where the rain is currently occurring, all of that kind of stuff. Let me come down here, turn that on, turn on the next rad. Let's see if any of these actually load, because I've got a lot going on here. Turn off the damn drought monitor as an example. Drought monitor would be all the way up here now. Turn that off. So let's put this back on a black map because it's going to look a hell of a lot easier to see at. No, let's go black. Going black. All right, so I want to be able to see the rain and go, okay, so here's where we're at. Here's the cloud seeding generators. Here is the rain. This is the way the wind was coming off. And guess what? Right over here, we had tornadoes. I know that these seeding generators were operating on this day. And right here, we had storms that led to tornadoes. I'm going to sue the people who own this cloud seeding generator. That is evidence. They did it. They did it at this time with this device, and I can prove that in a court of law. That's what you call evidence. Being able to just point at the sky and say, but somebody made some clouds and the clouds aren't dropping any rain. Well, the first thing the judge is going to say is, who's the somebody? How can you prove that these clouds are man-made and not natural when, basically the clouds coming out of the back of the planes, after they fan out and become cirrus clouds, they're indistinguishable between man-made or natural. How do you prove it? How do you prove your case? Now, I am just being pragmatic. You may not like me for that, but guess what? There ain't nobody else on the entire fucking internet that's doing what I'm doing. So that's why I'm trying to use a logical brain combined with the evidence, combined with the knowledge of the history, and go, how can we change this now? Prove your case. So we'll go back to exactly what you're saying. You just said it's not happening because Dane said, there's no speculation, no hypothesis or conjecture about any of this. It is clearly climate engineering, and it is for the purpose of depopulation, diminish the population. Where is your fucking evidence? That's all I got to say. Where's your fucking evidence? You have none, zero, zilch, nada, niente, nine. I don't give a damn what language you speak. You cannot prove this. If you can prove it, hit me up, jim@climateviewer.com. Donate button right there, connect.climateviewer.com. You go to the bottom of that bad boy, it's right here. Come here. My email is right here, jim@climateviewer.com. It's right here in the bottom corner. My phone number is right here. We'll go to the bottom, right there. Get everything out of the way. If you can prove that geoengineering is doing X, Y, or Z, and you know who's doing it, and you can prove it with some evidence, hit me up. But you cannot. So I'm putting it out there. I would love to be able to toot your horn and blow some smoke up your ass and feed you some fear porn and go, I can prove beyond a shadow of doubt who's doing this, but it ain't there. And when it is there, I'll be the first to tell you. Okay? Because I'm going to be the first to tell you because I actually follow all this stuff. I care deeply about the truth, not your truth. There's only the truth. And the truth will set us free. We will get there, but not with a bunch of fear porn and bullshit. So as I said, it gets more complicated. Dig through the weather modification, weather warfare archives, learn the history of weather warfare. And that way you know the history and you know the signs to look for. I invite Dane on to debate him. Somebody in chat want to handle this? Somebody in chat handle this. Because I will bet my left testicle that there is no way, shape, or form that will ever happen. And it's because we have a long history and he knows that I know way more about this than he does, and I will make a fool of him. Just like everybody else I've ever debated on this topic. You can go back through my channel. It's there. But no, Dane Wigington ain't coming. Vincent Peretti, I love you, bro. For those who don't know, Vincent says, don't forget to watch The Master on Quite Frankly on Thursday night. Thursday night, we're doing it Wednesday night, bro. I'm going to be on Quite Frankly on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking about the World Economic Forum and their proposal for geoengineering space, which I'm actually going to kind of touch on here in a second. Geoengineering space with these, basically glass bubbles in space made of plastic and graphene at the Lagrangian point between the sun and the earth, which is basically an MIT idea that now the World Economic Forum is floating out there. Don't want to spoil the show, but tune into quitefrankly.tv, quitefrankly.tv Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Show will start. I'm going to be on there with my man Frank. Best show on the internet. Please tune in. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a real good one. Another thing, let's throw this one out there. And yes, Mark is correct. You're not allowed to wear pants while watching Frank's show, so it will be a pants off dance off. And you may return to your your dungarees, your trousers after the show. Don't get dirty. Could clean air be causing global warming? Could clean air be causing the drought in the West Coast? Scientists have discovered a major paradox in nature, that a decrease in air pollution has led to an increase in global warming. I'm just going to let that one linger in the air. But yeah, I've heard this story for 7 years now. It keeps coming up every 2 years. That, yeah, put your underoos on the floor, because it's Quite Frankly on Wednesday night. It's going to be great. Could clean air be causing global warming? And an increase in hurricanes, as Noah said in one of our last. A study shows the reduction of air pollution leads to an increase in global warming. Because some scientists said so. I mean, bruh. That's all I can say about it. One of the things we're going to be talking about, MIT thinks this has a solution to limit global warming and has become uncontrollable, that they could put space bubbles. Bubbles in the space. Geoengineering with bubbles in space. Yeah. You can't make this stuff up. Concretely, the researchers plan to deploy a real raft of bubbles the size of Brazil, all on the side of the Lagrange point L1, that point in space between the Earth and the Sun at which gravitational influences of two bodies cancel each other out. The optimal position could actually be a little bit closer to our Sun and be a stabilization mechanism for the raft, possibly based on the geometry of the raft. It would be made of a thin layer of silicon or material reinforced with a graphene. So a big graphene silicone contact lens in between Earth and the Sun at the Lagrange point 1. No, we're not talking about ZZ Top. Rumor spreading around tonight in Texas town. Just outside Lagrange point 1 L1. You know what I'm talking about. It's right there on the side. Oh, we're covering it up. Right there, that L1 right there. You see that? L1. Earth, L1, Sun. It's right there. It's about 15 million miles away, as you can see right here, or 1.5 million kilometers away. Excuse me. That is the L1 Lagrange point L1. That's where they want to put it. And as you can see here, that's because, it's basically a good spot where gravitational pull of Earth versus the Sun would basically keep the contact lens in place and block all of the Sun all over the world, all at the same time. This is a dumb fucking idea because it would literally change the entire radiation balance of the planet instantaneously. The Sun powers our ionosphere. Our ionosphere works like the force field on the Star Trek Enterprise to protect us and shield us from galactic cosmic rays. If our ionosphere weakens too much, it can actually push down all the way to the ground, which would basically cause a lot of people to get fried, possibly by galactic rays. But more importantly, at the very least, the more galactic cosmic rays come into the planet, more ionization occurs, more water sticks to the dust in the sky, more clouds form. The floods will be biblical. The hurricanes will be, the Bible will be like, damn, that's a big hurricane. Damn, that's a big flood. So yeah, this is a monumentally stupid idea. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about on Frank's show. Not going to ruin it. Moving along. Saudi Arabia is preparing for a round of cloud seeding in many regions because now they're spending all that oil money on cloud seeding. The entire Middle East is, in fact, the United Arab Emirates, all those people. It's pretty interesting. Why am I bringing this up? I'm at 54 minutes, baby. I've still got 6 minutes to go. My wife gave me the look. Sci-fi city inside Saudi Arabia's 800 billion francs, pounds. I don't know what that is. Sideways skyscraper 75 miles long that Desert Kingdom claims will house 5 million people. Bro, that is a crazy idea. I mean, look at this picture. Look at this freaking picture here. Is that something? Taller than the Empire State Building and the size of Massachusetts. Only costs 800 billion. And they want to put 75 miles long 5 million people in it, and subscription only farms to feed the residents. Oh, there's a subscription service. It's like Netflix, but it's a house. And you have to pay for the food. But why am I bringing this up? Because the cloud seeding will also be used to make rain clouds in the incredibly dry country, which is the size of Western Europe. The process involves dumping substances such as dry ice, silver iodide, lead iodide, urea. These aren't mentioned here, but I'm just filling in the blanks as usual, using planes or drones into clouds to create rainfall. Some other bizarre proposals in the city include dinosaur robots in a Jurassic Park style attraction and robot martial arts where machines will fight each other for entertainment. Shit, this is like some cyberpunk world in the middle of the desert in Saudi Arabia. Just couldn't get any crazier. So Saudi Arabia is cloud seeding, dumping a whole bunch of money into dumping a bunch of rain. And why'd I bring that up? Because Yemen flood caused by torrential rain kills 10 people, including children. If you don't know your geography, Yemen be right next door to Saudi Arabia and right below the United Arab Emirates. And it's just a coincidence, right? I mean, it's just a coincidence. Make it rain. Can the Arabian Gulf revolutionize the fight against climate change with cloud seeding? With cloud seeding. So that's the point I was trying to make in all of this. Talk about cloud seeding. Talk about weather control. If you're not talking about weather control, you're missing the whole point. If you focus on geoengineering, you will miss all that weather weaponization. It's like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't focus on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory. And if you focus only on the clouds and the planes making clouds, you will miss out on all the geoengineering, weather modification, everything else. Radical Ralph, appreciate you being here, brother man. See you next time, Pyromania, Arts Foundation. Everybody in chat, thank you so much for hanging out with me on another Tuesday Newsday. Just one for the road explainer. What's causing the recent U.S. heat waves? Link in the details. Read it yourself, but I'll spare you the bullshit. Of course, they're going to tell you it's climate change, but there are simply too many hands in the cookie jar. With all of the different factors that go into screwing with the weather. With the 100 years of weather modification history on the books, provable, facts, court, law, nobody will argue with them. MLA formatted in Google Scholar, cited by scientific journals and peer-reviewed journals worldwide. WeatherModificationHistory.com is your source for all of the facts so that you know what happened in the past. And that will inform your ability to discern what's going on today and what's going to happen in the future. But that does not change the fact that we cannot prove who the climate changers are, what their motives are, if we don't have transparency and verification. That's why I proposed the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. And that's why I hope that people will learn about the 10 technologies to control the weather today, only one of which happens to be climate engineering. Ionospheric heaters, sounding rockets, satellites, lasers, cloud seeding, cloud ionization technologies, stratospheric aerosol injection, that one's climate engineering, ship tracks, contrail-induced cirrus, and water vapor pollution. All of these technologies can control the weather today. None of which are talked about on any other YouTube channel, any other website other than ClimateViewer and Weather Modification History. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. These HAARP things are all over the world. Nobody really talking about them. There's a lot more to talk about, but we'll save that for another time. This Thursday, we will do a Throwback Thursday. We're going to talk about some weather modification history. And I will be doing the live chat where you can call in and ask me anything. I mean, ask me anything. You want to see my toes? You're going to have to ask very nicely. But Friday we'll do the live chat. Probably going to do it around 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Going to be doing these videos typically between 4 to 6 o'clock. I hope to do my Tuesday and Thursday show, like record it offline and then upload it. That way I don't get into these conversations with you guys, making these videos last an hour. I'm trying to whittle it down to just the bare minimum, but I'm Southern and, you know, we take a long time to say anything because if it's worth saying, it's worth taking a long time to say it. And I like conversing with you guys. I'm reading the chat the entire time. Love you all. I mean it. So like I said at the beginning, with information comes power. With power comes great responsibility. So please use the information I provide to you on these shows and all my websites to attack ideas, not people. Buy the merch. Love you, mean it. Bye. Video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.